Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you live. Welcome to the stream. This is the fourth stream in this particular series where I have been looking at the characters from my visual novel Spiritual Matters, and I've been trying to redesign them. Thinking about the shape and the pose and the details of the character. So you can see a bit of history here. All starting with like a way in which I decided to draw the faces and different poses and ideas I've tried. I also really hate this one, so I'm going to delete it and pretend it was never here. It was a very awkward pose. So we've done a lot of sketching, we've done a lot of poses in the past few streams. So what I'd like to do this time is approach the topic from a bit more of a chill perspective. Just kind of look at a few color schemes, see how they fit. So to begin with, we're going to examine the color scheme that we had before, or that I initially gave to the characters. Sorry about that, just secretly advertising the stream in the background. Right. So, if we'll look at these are the original designs of the characters. Just to give you a refresher, because I can't expect everyone to have followed all the different streams. This guy on the left is Benedict. This lady on the right is Josephine. They are two paranormal detectives. Oh hey, Deadvism, good to see you again. It's been a while since I last streamed, so it's cool that you were able to catch this one. How are you doing? So yeah, they're essentially two paranormal detectives who have to work together, even though their opinions on spirits and ghosts differ quite dramatically. That's the base concept of it. I won't bore you with the whole story, and anyway, I can't spoil too much about it because the visual novel is gonna be worked on very soon. Like, once these characters are more properly designed and I have a better feel for how I want them to look, it's very likely we're going to be able to move on to actually working on the game. Maybe, you know, do a bit of Unity programming, streaming and such. It's going to be exciting. So first I want to evaluate like what we had currently. So if you look at the colors, they're all these very intense, saturated kinds of colors, especially in the clothing. The skin is kind of manageable. Oh, nothing particularly subtle or muted about it. It's like they're wearing big old neon signs. Hello, Thomas. Welcome to the stream. So, the thing I'm faced with here is what kind of colors am I going to be giving them? Now, I'd like to grab these sketches I've used before and put some splashes of color under them. So this one is fine for Benedict for now. We can always reconsider this design, but I'd like to just see how it looks on this one first. Alright, so let's put this down here. Scale it up a little bit. What I'm gonna do at first, just like I kinda did with the last few streams, is just apply the current color scheme to it, and then see how a new color scheme would stack up against that. Good to hear you're doing okay, Dead Vism. Generally, I'm really happy to have some guests in the stream. It's always very appreciated when people show up. If I clear my throat a lot, it's because my throat is kind of messed up. I'll try to keep it down. I like this tune. The soundtrack in the background is the Wario Land Shake It, or in Europe, the Wario Land The Shake Dimension soundtrack. I really like the soundtrack to that game. But if anyone really hates the soundtrack, you can always request something else. I'm pretty much okay with most music. There's going to be a few notable exceptions, of course, but in general, any suggestions are welcome. Right, so what happens if we try to apply those big old neon colors? Let's not use the brush sensitivity for now. Let's not cheat. Let's see what happens if we apply these colors to our good old friend Benedict. Just gonna do it real sloppy. I should really do the larger surfaces first. Just gonna paint this on here just to see how it looks. So we're not gonna spend too much time doing it neatly. It's all about how it looks right now. In the meantime, I'll also try to keep an eye on the different chats. So if anyone wants to just talk about something, feel free to open a conversation. It's always welcomed and encouraged to offer your thoughts, your feedback. Or if you want to start some kind of social, political discussion, that works too. Though it might be for the best if you don't. You want to keep this stream friendly, after all. First off, we're not going to do the shoes green this time, that much I'm sure of, because that makes no sense whatsoever. Right, now we have this slightly pale but very intense green, which I use for pretty much all the details in the clothing. So here it would logically come to be used for the suspenders. It's such a weird word, suspenders. I keep forgetting it. Oh, this looks kind of weird. And now let's see how the Josephine colors work on this new design. Again, let's start with the larger surfaces and work back from there. By the way, I'm not quite decided on Josephine's costume yet. Like, you'll notice I haven't added as much as I'd like yet. That's simply because I really don't quite know what to do with her costume yet. I guess I'm just not well versed in women's fashion enough, especially not in... So I should have another close look at that. Maybe dedicate a whole stream just to getting her costume in a nice, presentable state. Any suggestions are welcome, of course, if you have an idea for Josephine's costume too. I think some ideas were offered on the last stream, but I'm unfortunately my memory is pretty bad lately. Well, it's not my memory per se. I'm just got a lot of things to do. I was really thinking about not streaming tonight. Like, I had decided earlier in the day that I was gonna stream. And I was sitting here in the evening with my coffee, and I was like, do I really need to? Like, it's tempting to be lazy in the evenings, you know. But now that I've started on it, it's really fun to be back to it, see what I can do with these characters. So I'm really happy I went through with it anyway. Discipline is always a good ally. When you agree to do something, always do it. Even if it's just a little agreement you have with yourself. I notice we're dropping the occasional frame. That's not something I can change, unfortunately. Not right now, anyway. It's something I'll probably try and fix in the future. Maybe flip a few settings around. Might hurt the quality a little bit, but you know... Nice frames... there's no point in having nice frames if they're dropped, right? Let's see, what's the color of the rim of her glasses again? Black. What? Extreme zoom on the cross. Oh, your Wii U crashed, Dadvasm? That's a shame. I had like way back during the Wii time, the Wii generation, the Smash Bros Brawl, right, for the Wii was really unstable. Like, a lot of Wiis needed to be fixed to have their like laser reader thing fixed, because that game was so tough to read. But I didn't know there were troubles with the new one. Like, is it a common problem for you that the Wii U crashes? An eraser with transparency. That's not good. Well, looking at this color scheme, I definitely think it works alright on Ben. But... well, we're gonna do some experimentation with it. Like, I'm not sure yet if I want to completely switch it around, or if I want to just tweak it a little bit. Like, I have a tendency to take small steps with this sort of design process. It's maybe a bad quality, but you know. Whoops. The infamous sticky keys have visited us tonight. Apparently I'm pressing shift too often. Oh, I see. Well, that's good at least. I think it also depends on when you bought your Wii, probably. Right, so... Oh, I like this tune. Well, before we just start throwing colors on the shapes again, let's consider this color scheme. Starting with Benedict, as always. He's just kind of on the left, so I have a tendency to start with him. It's a Western culture thing. Things are on the left, you begin there. I didn't leave the text on screen, right? No, no, I didn't. That would have been a little bit awkward. Right, this is Benedict's color scheme as it was. It's, Well, Here I think lies the problem. The colors are all too saturated. Like, this is like the most intense possible brown you can get. Skin color is just about the only thing that's a little bit muted. Which means I think the skin color is alright, but I'll have to probably tune down either the green or the blue. That's my initial instinct. If I wanted to keep this color scheme, but make it a bit more pleasant to look at. So let's say we grab this blue, right? Let's say we get a slightly more royal version of it. We knock down the saturation a bit. I get some more general clothing color. Right, so we add this. We keep the green the same for now. Now we apply the same thing here. So this one needs to be maybe even a bit more blue, almost towards purple. And similarly desaturated. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark, but this makes a huge difference once it's on the shape. Let's see. That spot is annoying me a lot. Where is it? There. Be gone, spot. Right, so we consider this to be the new color scheme. Now, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna preserve the original colors to the left of here, just to just so we have an idea of how it looked before. Let's see, so we've changed a few things about the blue. Now, before I start applying this, because we don't want to do it too quickly, these are fairly weak colors now. They're slightly desaturated. I think the darker one should be even more desaturated, for now at least. What do we do with the skin color? Now, maybe this means that we can make the green a bit more outspoken. Like if we consider green to be our dominant color here, then green should be the most saturated, blue should be less saturated, skin should be much less saturated. He's gonna look a bit like a ghost himself at this rate, but anyway, we're just experimenting. It's just to see. How his hair would be brown, so on the orange part of the spectrum, so it would be very close to gray or desaturated. Except, I think that would look kind of like he's really old. Mm-hmm. Let's see, this is reddish, this is orange, so orange can actually be slightly more saturated. At least I'm kind of setting some arbitrary rules wherein I am building from more to less saturated depending on which color I find dominant. It's just to experiment, really. Right, now that we have a slightly revised color scheme... I drew a bit on the wrong layer, huh? Let's just... fix that, and there we go. Color scheme. Now let's see how it looks on the actual character. So first, larger surfaces. So the blue. It's definitely getting more of that traditional feel, just having a slightly more muted blue. There we go. Any thoughts about the new colors so far? I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to look at them more side by side in a little bit. And the green is ever so slightly brighter now. It's a barely visible change though, because I mostly changed everything but the green. Thank you, Dadwesen. We are dropping a fair few frames. Not sure what's going on, but I hope it'll just kind of stabilize in a bit. Right, we've tested a new color scheme for our good friend Ben. Let's just quickly give his cup of coffee a color too, because, you know. Now, what if we give a similar treatment to a Josephine? Like, Like with Benedict, I'm setting the simple rule that I am selecting a dominant color and making all the other colors less or more saturated based on which is the dominant. After we figure that out, we can try something else, like establishing 2 dominant colors and basing ourselves around that. Maybe even try a completely different color scheme altogether. But let's take it step by step. Right, let's see. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a good change, but look at how, now that the other colors are more muted, you can see that he looks very red. So either that coffee is really hot or he's really embarrassed. Let's replace the colors real quick. I should mention that this stream is probably not gonna be very long. Like look at the pale skin. Well, let's keep it for experimentation's sake. But I definitely have my thoughts about this this color of skin. Not that I object to being, well, you know, it's no problem if he's pale per se, right? But if I'm gonna have a story with ghosts in it, how pale are they gonna be? You know? Right, seems like the frame rate has stabilized a little bit. That's good. Right, so... maybe to offset the how scary it looks, we'll give him like little blushes. You could use the darker shade as a shadow. But we'll establish rules like that later, once we've gotten a base color scheme down. Right, so let's re-establish Josephine's color scheme. Now the dominant color is going to be for this. For Benedict, I picked the detail color to be the dominant color, which would be this waistband, which is this color. Now if we intensify this color slightly, maybe darken it a little bit. Let's go to the proper layer first. And now, wow, voice. And now all other colors are going to be a little bit more saturated or desaturated based on this. So this is fairly intense. Orange is still pretty close to that color. So we'll desaturate it a little bit. Crimson red, same thing, really. Let's see, this is about here. Let's put this about here. I'm not changing the brightness yet. Like, when it comes to colors that don't fit together, the rule is change the hue, the saturation, or the brightness. I am really working with the saturation right now, but it's always possible to change the brightness of things. I haven't really felt like there were problems with the balance between the brightness of the colors. Rather, I thought it was more based on the saturation. But we can always try and experiment more later down the line. So if you feel like brightness is more of an issue than saturation, feel free to point it out. Let's see. So her skin is also pretty close to this kind of orangey color, so it can remain to be fairly saturated. Now, what this will lead to is her being of having a slightly more saturated skin color than Ben. This is because her colors are all very, very close together. Like, I'm starting to think that maybe her color scheme is like the biggest problem between these two characters. This tune, it's so catchy. But I shouldn't whistle into the microphone because that'll hurt your ears. At least this looks a bit more like it is like a color scheme and not some colors thrown together. Well, anyways, let's focus. I may have to change a few things here. So we've muted this color, increased this color. And this color we've also muted a little bit. Now skin color will also be muted a little bit. But hair color is also very close to it. So this rule I've established about the desaturating the colors may not work with this color scheme. This may need to just be a clean redo. I'm just finding this out by experimenting, so just a moment. Whoops, that was Skype. I had to send a message and then turn Skype off for a second. Sorry about the interruption. Now that we have established this new color scheme, let's see how it works. Now my prediction is that it won't work very well, but I still want to try it anyway, because trying things that may not work is all part of the art game. May need to use a slightly larger brush. You don't want to have to spend a lot of cumbersome time trying to get everything to be perfect when we just need to see how the colors work. Yeah, let's be messy. We like it messy here. Right. I recolor a warrior nun while I play fitting music. May not be as bad as I thought, but we're gonna bet it. Like, the desaturation of this helps a bit, but I'm wondering if desaturating all the other things is really gonna be a good plan. Hey Thomas, that's a good point actually. I'll finish up adding this to the scene, to the character. What I should have done probably is prepare that beforehand. Prepare a little scene to put my characters on, to quickly establish a proper how they fit with the rest of the atmosphere, because that is a good point. Right now, I'm definitely thinking about the characters as their own things rather than in a context again. I am thinking about how they look when they are faced against each other, but I haven't thought about the background, so that's a good point. I wonder though, what do you think about the jump from this to this? Yeah, this is too desaturated in general. I think it needs something. If I'm gonna use this as a detail color, then there needs to be a bit more of it. You'll note, Benedict has 3 separate items, namely the cup, the glasses, and the suspenders, that are all his dominant color. could do something cheap like draw a pattern on here, but I don't know about this yet. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard to say either way, and that rhymes. Hmm. That would require, yeah. Yeah, I've been so fixated on getting the characters redesigned that I didn't think too much about the context. That's actually like a really good point. Hmm. Yeah, the problem with like visual novel characters in general is that they are going to have to fit just about every scene they're going to be put in. Hmm. For this, we may need to. I may need to dig through my files a little bit and see. All right, you know what? Give me a second to dig through the files, and I'll see what's to see in terms of background. So give me a second. Right. So these are two backgrounds that I've drawn for the game. They're unfinished, to put it one way. They need like a lot of work and polish, especially this one. Mostly because, yeah. You can still see a lot of the brush strokes and such. Anyways, this may be a good place to start testing with the characters, so let's... And... multiply. Well, maybe not multiply. We're just doing a sloppy, quick. Thank you. It's been. I should really get back to drawing the backgrounds as well. It's been like a long time since I've actually made much progress on anything besides the characters. Let's see. So. Hmm. Well, in terms of purely like the background I already have, I kind of prefer the new, more muted color scheme, I suppose. Hmm. But what happens if we... let's see here. What if we try to actually like do that simple color change function that Photoshop has? Um, what it does is make them darker. That's about it. It doesn't actually change the colors very much, for better or worse. I'm going to take that as a sign that is the color schemes are probably pretty close together. Gonna turn down the sound a little bit. Hmm. So what if we try this here? Hmm. It's definitely more jarring here. Like, I think it fits rather nicely here, don't you? Just doing some quick cleaning around the edges because those white pixels aren't very nice looking. Even though this is just a sketch anyway, so it doesn't matter. But welcome back. Coffee is important. I'm probably gonna preserve this just to be safe, just to have a look at like a good reference thing. Though I should probably, now that it's been pointed out, I should probably develop a new background from scratch too. Maybe something a bit more fitting to this, so I can like both can choose both the colors for the background and the characters together. That might be a good plan. Right, just saving this quickly, just to have a reminder of this particular change in tone. Let's just quickly play around with the saturation, maybe brightness a little bit. Definitely doesn't look very good when it's very saturated. Hmm. Yeah, I may need to sketch up something. Lost my pen for a second there. I may need to sketch something a bit like this, just to test. Maybe I'll just briefly make a sketch just to see. Whoops. That's a bit too transparent for my tastes. I'm all for transparency, but there, you can have too much of a good thing. Let's just quickly establish a few lines so we can get straight to it. Oh, whoops. Not sure how useful this is gonna be, but listen to this circus music. Yeah, I probably don't want to hear this. This makes me think of clowns. Yeah, this is not intended as some kind of final version of anything. Just sloppily throwing a few lines down, just have a few planes to put colors in. I didn't really come prepared to develop a new background, so that's why I'm just quickly using this one. I should say the stream is probably gonna end pretty soon, because I had a few other plans as well. Thinking about it, I wonder if this soundtrack is gonna get copyright claimed by Ninty. They'll never learn the ways of the modern world, those guys. Question is this good enough to test with? It probably is. I should stop adding details, but I have a tendency to do it anyway. Let's at least add a nice street light here. In case you were just joining and wondering what is this garbage I'm looking at, I'm actually working on redesigning a few characters that I made. So I made these guys. They're paranormal detectives. They're called Benedict and Josephine. And I was just thinking about redesigning them and thinking of some new colors. So I was throwing together a quick background to test new color schemes against, since it was suggested in the chat. So it's a little bit messy, but it's all just to the benefit of testing out some new colors. Right, so this is a bit of a mess of colors. So let's quickly just establish the basic colors that there are here. Like how things have a tendency to fit well together once they're nicely shaded, but that may be used to hide actual problems with the color scheme. So I'm gonna reduce it back to the basic colors, and we're gonna see how things fit when it's all back to basics. Alright, let's get the larger surfaces out of the way. Let's see. Yeah, let's just use a big brush. No point in being subtle if we're just gonna see how colors look faced with each other. Yeah, I do think certain problems reveal themselves once we reduce it back to this simple color scheme. But yeah, I'll comment on that in more detail once we get to having most of the colors in place. Ah, this one is nice. Very relaxing tune for a very relaxing stream. Wait, is this building supposed to have this color? Let's check. It should not. Darn it. Although that's mostly because it's shadowed, I guess. Shadowed the hedgehog. Let's see, the church is probably one of the brighter objects in the scene. Right, let's get a few of those more specific colors in. Also, we're going to pretend that this street light is not standing in midair. It didn't happen. That sure is a conspicuously tall, tall street light. This is basically the color scheme of that scene. Like, if you take all the shading and all the nonsense out of it, this is basically what you get. It looks very ugly right now, obviously, but it's more about how the colors mesh together. Oh. I may just have to give this scene a similar look like I did to the characters. Maybe a do-over on the whole color scheme before I make a new painting based on this. Right, so this or this. Well, let's look at like we did with the characters. Let's look at the. Thank you, Deadvesm. I appreciate that. Let's think about the characters. Let's think about how the characters look with these colors that are in the background. So let's establish on a little canvas, shall we say, which colors are here and what their intensity is. Now it's a bit of a hodgepodge of blues, very desaturated greens, and some red. This is a very greyish blue. This is a slightly less greyish blue. And let's see here. This is a fairly saturated red, but it's also dark, which may offset that a little bit. This is a very dark yellowish green, to the point that it looks more grayish than anything else. This is a slightly blighter, mate. Wow. This is a slightly lighter, still slightly greenish shade of yellow. This is a very light desaturated orange. And there we have it. This is our little palette. Now, if I were to design this without context, as though the characters were not there, I might be tempted to say grab what I find to be the dominant color, for example this, saturate it heavily, and desaturate everything based on its distance from that on the color wheel, so to speak. So, let's do that. Let's do that first, just for experimentation. This is a chill stream, so we can do anything we like. It'll be fine. Let's see, I have been streaming for a bit over an hour now. I'm probably going to call it done in a few minutes. I said that a few minutes ago, but you know how it goes. Once you're into it, it's too fun to stop, but it's really probably smart to stop at some point. Anyway, so let's assume that the color of the church here is the dominant color. So let's make it not quite as intense as the dominant colors on these guys, but slightly middling. I mean, everything I draw is slightly middling anyway. Sick burn. So, let's lock the lines. Let's preserve the background by duplicating it. Let's re-establish us a color scheme. Right, so this color becomes dominant, and it is orange. This is really yellowish, so it's close. So it can be about in the range it already is, maybe brighten it up a little bit. Yeah, you'll notice these two colors fit together a bit more. This is a very dark, let's see. It's actually closer to the orange, this one. Maybe I'll just push it further away, like this. Barely noticeable. Maybe brighten it up a little bit. Oh, ouch! What happened? How can you cut yourself on a Wii U? It has slightly sharp edges, I guess. Right, if we acknowledge orange to be the most intense color, then it follows that blue should be heavily desaturated, which it already is. But let's see. Royal blue is the complement of the more pure orange. This isn't royal blue, it's more like a sort of grayish cyan. I see, well, hopefully you're not hurt. Let's see. So, these colors are quite far apart. I don't like the way these colors go together, and I don't like this one at all. Let's see. Still nothing on the YouTube chat. That's a shame. I don't think the YouTube community particularly cares about art streams. It's a shame, but that's probably the way it is. It's definitely more of a gaming platform in that respect. Twitch has definitely opened up to the art side of things a bit more. So let's say that we don't go for a hard blue, but go for a slightly greenish blue, but of a similar level of saturation. So hereabouts. By the way, this orange is very desaturated, even though it is quite close to the original color. I'm not sure if that's the way it should be. Yeah, that's better. It's better. Things are starting to make sense a little bit. Let's see. Now, blue is the complement, so it should be the most desaturated. Red, on the other hand, is pretty close to orange, which means it follows that it doesn't need to be very desaturated. Maybe brighten it up a little bit. Right, so what we have here now is a new color scheme, but whether it'll work, I guess there's only one way to find out. I'm kind of unsure about having a green sky, but let's try it anyway. Like maybe it'll contextualize as blue once other colors are around it. Either way, we're just experimenting. Just chilling out. This blue isn't very different. I'm definitely starting to have second thoughts about the green sky, people. There's a reason why in the media science experiments are often portrayed as going horribly wrong. Sometimes you end up with a green sky. Anyways, let's not prejudge it before we've got everything in place. Right, slightly brighter but slightly more muted red. Oh, this is interesting music. Hmm. In all honesty, I don't think this is improving the scene. Like, I am establishing a pretty clear vocal point, but the background needs to stay in the background, you know? I must confess that I'm not always great at perceiving how good colors fit together. If there's one thing that's definitely one of my greater problems as an artist, it's that my perception is pretty weak sometimes. It's not that I don't see it, it's that some things don't communicate as well as they can, I guess, visually. Let's see. Well, I don't think this is an improvement per se. No, not at all. Let's see. Let's make this more cyan, I guess. And if it's more cyan, it can be a little bit more saturated. Right, let's apply that. That's a bit better, but it's not quite there. Hmm. Still closer, closer. I actually think having the heavier contrast works in favor of this piece, though. So let's see. We don't need to desaturate it, but we can always make it a bit darker. So let's try that. We're slowly starting to get something with this background. This is one of my favorite tunes from that soundtrack. It's so Christmassy, and I'm still in denial over Christmas being over. In fact, I'm just going to deny it outright. It's still Christmas, simply because I want it to be. Anyways, it's about time for me to close up shop. I'm sorry to cut it short. We've made clear progress, but there's still a lot to be looking at in terms of the color scheme. So I didn't think I would be able to decide like everything this particular stream. So I'm a-okay with just having made some progress, having put down some ideas, and looking back at it next time. So this looks pretty sloppy, obviously, but it's more about how the colors fit together. I think so far this is not quite there yet, but neither is this. So what remains to be done is to just maybe prepare a slightly better background for this purpose. Maybe something that consists of a slightly less complex... Whoa. I thought my laptop was gonna fall for a second there. Wow. Startled myself really badly. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that I may need a background that's a bit more, you know, a bit less of a garbled mess. Like maybe something really simple. In my first, like at the very beginning of it, I had something really, really simple. Like, what was it? Like, essentially like two buildings. It's Christmas. Like something really simple, like a few buildings there, and then like a nice little church, maybe in the. I'm using an overly large brush. You know, something like this, like maybe with a building here and a building here. Fill up the space, but nothing too complex. Just to test the colors with. Like maybe I'll need to do something like that in the future. Excuse me. But anyways, that's all. Because it's gonna be a hassle to keep redrawing this just because it's a background I used before. I may need to just start fresh, just like I started fresh with the characters themselves. So that's next time we're gonna continue to look at the color scheme, perhaps work out a background to like decide on the overall scheme and see how we can make the characters pop out but still look like nice and subtle on over the background. So I want to thank everyone for joining me and for offering some feedback on the designs and on offering some ideas and such. Thanks a lot. You guys make it all worth it. You're the best. And I hope to see you on the next stream as well. So sorry for having a slightly short one this time, but that's just the way it is for now. But thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for visiting the stream. Bye bye.